Are you struggling to find balance between the hustle of entrepreneurship and personal wellness? In today's episode of Mind Your Business, we're sitting down with two incredible women, Jeydah Johnson and Morgan Jacobs, co-founders of Myndful Lyfe. Now they're here to share how they help entrepreneurs like you mitigate stress, prioritize wellness, and growth through mindful living and curated travel experiences. Now, if you're ready to take control of your well-being and business growth, stick around. This will be a great episode for you. Now, today, I'm thrilled to welcome Jeydah Johnson and Morgan Jacobs, two powerhouse entrepreneurs and the co-founders of Myndful Lyfe. These dynamic women have made it their mission to help business owners navigate stress and embrace wellness through positive psychology and curated travel experiences. Now, with diverse side hustles and deep community roots, they've mastered the art of living purposefully while helping others do the same. Welcome, Jeydah and Morgan, to Mind Your Business. Now, before we dive into today's conversation, let's take a moment for your Mindset Minute. And as entrepreneurs, it's easy to let stress take the wheel. But remember this, balance isn't always about doing it all. It's actually about doing what matters. So I want to make sure you're prioritizing your well-being as much as your business goals. And you'll find that your success actually feels more fulfilling and also sustainable. Now, with that in mind, let's dive into how Jeydah and Morgan are redefining balance and growth for entrepreneurs just like you. Again, ladies, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here. And, so we're going to start with some brief introductions. So, Jeydah, let's start off with you. Introduce yourself really quickly.
Yes, I'm Jeydah Johnson. I was born in Memphis, raised in Randallstown, Maryland. I am a former student athlete. I went to the Long Island University in Brooklyn, New York. And currently I am a coach. I own a travel business, a cleaning business, and I am within the community. Oh, that's right.
Awesome. And how about you, Morgan? Let's introduce yourself to our audience.
So my name is Morgan Jacobs. I am from Maryland, born and raised. I went to Stevens University. I am currently a yoga teacher, more so a mindful practitioner, and a travel agent. I do also have quite the slew of side hustles. I call myself a serial entrepreneur at times because I just love getting into business and different things that I have control of making money. And yeah, I'm an auntie, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, very much a family person, rooted in God, and He drives everything that I do in business and in life.
That is amazing to hear. So, I actually want to start with you, Jeydah, and this question actually could be posed to either one of you. And my first question is, what inspired you guys to co-found or to come together and start Myndful Lyfe?
So, Myndful Lyfe is actually my business. That is my health and wellness business. Jeydah is responsible for Brown Abroad Travel. That is the travel business that she created herself. When it comes to Myndful Lyfe, we like to focus on positive psychology interventions that allow people, specifically business owners, to mitigate stress, make things better for themselves in their life, and just navigate those challenges that often come up in this line of work.
How did your passion for wellness and travel actually influence your entrepreneurial path?
So my passion for wellness actually started in college. I was a biology major. That's what I got my bachelor's degree in. And I've always been fascinated with science and how the body works. I was also a psychology minor, so understanding how the mind and body worked and how that related to our personal health, especially related to fitness. I'm also an athlete. There's a lot of factors here that came into it, but I really dove deep into it once I graduated. And then, of course, COVID, health was on everybody's mind. I was trying to run every day, keep myself active, find out what the most holistic options were to keep myself healthy, because I'm not a medicate first, ask questions later type of person. And so kind of just took a deep dive into that. When it comes to travel, I am a spa girl through and through. I love my massages. When I go on vacation, I want to relax.
Okay.
I want to lay out on the beach. I want to be in environments that feel nourishing to me. So it only made sense to combine my love for those experiences with my passion for wellness and, become a wellness travel specialist. So,
I commend you for that. I always tell people it's very good to go into something you love to do in business, is you're going to be working a lot of hours. A lot of times people don't understand you're really trading 40 hours for a lot of times 60 or 80 hours. So you want to do something that you love and you enjoy doing. And to me, I kind of always call it the Michael Jordan theory or whatever. It's like you do the thing that you love and you get paid to do something you love doing. It's the best thing in the world is to get paid a lot of money to do something you would be doing for free anyway,
Exactly.
So I think that's great in that regard. And so, Jeydah, with you, let's pretty much same question. What inspired you to get in there and start your the business that you started with the travel?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say thank you for having us on the podcast. This is a perfect space for us to talk about our businesses. I would say that it kind of started a little different for me. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do out of college. I tried a little bit of everything. At first, like I said, I was a student athlete, so that was my primary focus. I didn't really have a main job or anything. It was just summer jobs. So then when I got out of college, I was like, let's try jewelry. So I got into jewelry, and I learned that, I had to have inventory and all this stuff to keep up. So I was like, maybe that's not really the lane that I wanted to do. So then I transitioned into cleaning, which was really just for a quick money grab, but I did have a love for cleaning. My mom, I'm the oldest child, so I always was doing cleaning. Okay. And then around COVID time, it was perfect. People wanted cleaning done. And then I started to talk more to like my mentors and just see like how I wanted to go about my business journey. And then that's when I found travel. And then I've been traveling from basketball for years, so it kind of went hand in hand with my lifestyle.
Wow, that's like I said, it's nothing better than to be doing something you would already be doing and find a way to get make money at it. And this question is actually for either one of you that want to take it. Is about so a lot of times people see by the time someone sees a business online or sees someone doing business, they're seeing them doing well at whatever it is they're doing, but it's not always start and greatness. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, it's very rarely that. So what kind of challenges did you face? And like I said, this is a question for either of you. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask both of you guys the same question because I'm sure you had different challenges. And so what I'll do is I'm actually going to start with you, Morgan. What was your challenges?
I would say my biggest challenge was overcoming my own self-doubt, because I have a few entrepreneurs in my family, but in my immediate family, it was always go to school, get a good job. Right. So for me to step out of that and want to do my own thing, make money my own way, I learned very quickly that when you don't have all those resources at first, it's very hard to make a living on your own when you don't have that set corporation paying you. And so I doubted myself multiple times. Even to this day, I have thoughts where it's like, I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to get a job. I'm just going to give it up. But I love it so much that I can't. And then just other typical challenges, like, of course, financing. There are resources out there, and I have people I can talk to, but not many people are willing to hold your hand and walk you through the process, which, quite honestly, I need sometimes. I need somebody to say, hey, this is what you need to do, and this is how you do it. So finding the mentors, finding the financial resources, finding the support, because, as much as my family loves me, they're quick to tell me, like Jeydah, like, go get a job. Yeah. So definitely overcoming that doubt. And exposure. There's so many challenges that you face, and I know I haven't even reached the pinnacle of what those challenges are going to be, especially as I continue to grow and scale, because $100 problems are not the same as $100 million problems. Yep. And, there's always going to be something new that you learn and overcome.
Yeah, I agree with what they say. More money, more problems, right?
Exactly.
That's the way it works.
Not lie.
But you know what? The good thing is, I guess sometimes you got to ask yourself, do you it's the trade-off. So what do the trade-off is, you got to grow, and you don't want to stop yourself from growing anyway. And sometimes some people will let that be a barrier, just kind of stay wherever they are. But I believe that business is about stretching yourself and finding really something, trying to find that thing within yourself. To me, I always challenge myself because I want to see if I can. I want to see if I could do this, if I could do that. And I think that's the biggest thing. And the great thing about being an entrepreneur is if it's not working, you can adjust and do something else. There's so much information out there to find out how somebody else has done what you want to do. There's very few things that you're doing the only thing of. So it's always good to seek some of that also. But you know what? So actually, Jeydah, I do want to, same question to you. What were some of the challenges that you faced early on?
I actually wanted to piggyback off of Morgan because I agree with finding the resources, or, if your family is used to a certain way of living and you're stepping out of the box, it is difficult. And then with myself, I'm an oldest child, so most of the time I was the first person doing everything, like first athlete of the of my immediate family, or first entrepreneur. So I do have to navigate on my own a lot of the times, but I would say that is a boundary. But another thing that I would say would be sacrifice, the things that you have to sacrifice in order to keep your business up. So whether it's, we came all the way out here, so we had to get our hair done and make sure we're presentable for the events and things like that. Or whether it's not seeing family because of long hours that you're working. So those would be my top two, is just navigating, trying to figure out what direction I want to go, and then as well as sacrifice.
There's definitely a lot of sacrifice.
Yes.
And that's a great, kind of a great point to make. Is I think that's probably, I don't know if that's the first thing people think about when it comes to business, but that's really it should be, because you're going to sacrifice time with friends, time with family, money. You want to put it back and invest in your own business, invest in yourself. And so I think it's important for people to understand the value of sacrifice. And I think everything has a season. And I think it's important to things that you deny yourself today doesn't mean you always deny yourself. And sometimes and that kind of also goes to discipline. So I think those are important things to have when it comes to starting a business, is being disciplined enough to put off those wants, to really focus on your needs.
Yes. Even that is really hard, because when people hear discipline, and we've been athletes our whole lives, so we know a thing or two about discipline, but in business, it's not just for a couple months in the season to get to that championship game. It's not just, I'll just make sure I'm in the gym 3 times a week, and then in 6 months, I'll have my dream body. This is a lifelong commitment if you really want it, honestly. And the discipline is just different. Sometimes you're going to fall short, and even in those days, yes, give yourself grace, but it's a whole nother ballgame, honestly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And yeah, I guess if you're not willing to want to sacrifice, then it is difficult, So also there's a lot of demands with kind of, even for both of you, you're doing more than one thing. So how did you guys multitask or handle the multiple things that you're into, and how did you manage that, doing more than one thing at a time?
For me, I would say it's just prioritizing what's important to me. I think like we just talked about not really having a blueprint for business. I think the beautiful thing about our travel business is that we have people who already are successful in it. So we have someone to follow off of and see the direction that we're going in. So what was the question?
So I just really
managing multiple things at once.
Yeah.
So that helped. I would definitely say that having an example of people who did business before us helps me stay focused with what I'm doing in the travel business. And then I see the potential that I have in the business. So I think that I put it on higher on my priority list so that I know that I want to get that stuff done. Another thing with like putting things on a priority list is just finding what's important to you and what you can get done like quicker than the other thing. So that helps me.
You know what, that is a great point. And so every day for me, I don't know how you guys start your day off, but for me, every day I start my day off with a to-do list. So it's like a legal pad. I write down everything I have to do. And the important thing about that is, for one, it takes the mental pressure off me to have to remember everything that I got to do. But the other important thing about that is really being able to look at the tasks I can accomplish in like 5 or 10 minutes. And those are the things I do first. Some people do the hardest things, the things that take the longest first. But what happens, or what I found, that if you have 10 items and maybe 3 of them will take 10 or 15 minutes, in about 30, 45 minutes, you've accomplished 3 things as opposed to that same time frame possibly accomplishing 1. And so, and I'll use a basketball analogy, I guess. It's momentum. It comes from success, or just so once you kind of got 2 or 3 things going for you, it turns into, it just gives you more, you feel more accomplished. And so you actually delve into your day even more so. So that's kind of why I do, I think it's important to stress that to-do list, or write things down and then do the things that can be done very quickly first, and then move on to the more complicated, more difficult things.
And then an interesting thing someone taught me recently is like, you know how people say take things day by day? Instead, take it second by second, because we do have a lot of hours in the day. So if you just like, you know, compartmentalize what you have to do in the day by second, then it takes a little bit of stress off yourself too.
Mm-hmm. Moment to moment.
Yes, moment to moment.
Actually, that's what I wrote the article about, the importance of business leaders being present, because if you're not, and you're allowing your mind to wander on the 15 million different things you need to do other than what's in front of you, it leads to worse decision making. Your staff and your team, that's what they're following after, chaos, and it just trickles down. So
focus, you're saying, focus on being in the moment.
Yeah. Your to-do list, though, I have many to-do lists, but that reminds me of something I heard. I think it was Joe Rogan. It was one of those guys on YouTube, but he has a GSD list. Am I allowed to cuss?
No.
It's called the Get Ish Done list, and
Yes.
essentially it's the top 3 to 5 things that you need to do by a certain point in the morning before you start your day. And so that's what he does every morning to make sure that he's progressing and moving on. So that just reminded me of that.
And you know what? I think actually, Jeydah, you had something you wanted to jump in and say.
I like something that just came across my mind. It's like I'll write down to-do lists, but one thing that I'm working on is like picking the things off the paper, because I can write notes all day and like I gotta do this and do that. So it just goes back to focus. Like you really do have to focus on what you have on your to-do list to get it done, or you won't get anything done.
So here's my thing with to-do list, and I'm actually addicted to checking it off. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like that's my I don't know. It's like I get a pleasure off of checking something off the list. So honestly, even though I have phone and I write stuff in my phone, it's not as pleasurable as literally being able to take a pen and check something off. So I literally physically write it down on a piece of paper because I want to be able to check it off. And so that's kind of like the bonus, or the thing I get for not only getting it done, but I get to check it off a list. And so,
in my house.
Really,
3 whiteboards, notebooks on notebooks on notebooks. My notes app in my phone is crazy. It's a constant reminders. It's easy to get lost in all that, though. So back to your original question, organization. Obvious, like definitely what Jeydah said with the priorities, but that's in itself a form of organizing your life. Yeah.
And so here's what what happens is we can have maybe 2 or 3 things in our mind. And in our mind, if we just keep them rolling around, it feels like it's 100. Mm-hmm. It's just 2 or 3 things. And I kind of liken it to, our heads are physically limited to the size that it is, but when you release it into the universe or kind of write it down or whatever, it just releases that space. Or it's more like a computer, how a computer works, the more you purge information, the more you can store or do more things. So if you're kind of walking around with the 2 or 3 things that you have to do, it can stop you from doing 5 or 10 things because you're still doing that. And there's a release, honestly, of writing it down of stress, because now you're not thinking about it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's already on a piece of paper. And I don't know if your life is like mine, but my life is, I will write my list down, and 5 or 10 minutes later, I'm getting, employees calling. Something's happening here, something's happening there. So that checklist becomes the thing I get to come back to. Once you've been distracted, you get to come back and still say, okay, where am I? Where was I? And you get to get your day back. Mm-hmm. But not having that written down, you're still lost, and you can lose a day. And so the crazy thing about being an entrepreneur, you got to have those fail safes in place, because you don't have someone telling you what to do all the time, or most of the time. As a matter of fact, you generally don't. You've got to be that voice. You got to make sure that you're getting things done, that things are getting checked off, or else it just doesn't get done. So that's the important thing I think about writing it down, and how important it is to just write things down, and it's a stress reliever. Yes.
And alongside,
and we're not in class, so you can just jump right in there.
That's what I'm working.
I'm so used to raising my hand because I'm in school now, and you're not going to remember
yes. I was gonna just alongside having the to-do list, accountability partners are important too. I will say, even with my fitness journey, I can send Morgan a photo and be like, I just got in the gym, and then that just lifts each other up. So you can do that in business too as well.
I think that's great. Having an accountability partner is perfect. I think just having someone else that you're told that you're going to do something. Yes. Sometimes that does. If you just keep it to yourself, it's not the same thing. So I actually, my first book was about how to achieve dreams and goals, and that was one of the things I wrote about in that book. And it's if you don't share your goals with people, or the things that you want to do. And I think the difference between a dream and a goal, a dream is something that may come true or something, but goals are actual things that are obtainable. So the moment you put on a sheet of paper and then create some momentum or things that you're going to do to reach it, it's not a dream anymore. It's now a goal, and goals can be accomplished. It's hard to accomplish a dream, so it's, there's so many different things that are just important in this whole conversation. And so I'm a big proponent on just goals every day. And if you are writing things down, and I don't accomplish that now, literally, if I have one of my legal sheet, I literally fill a legal sheet every day. Not on purpose. It's just that's how much stuff I have to do. Mm-hmm. And do I get it all done in the course of a day? No. But that's where I start the next day. I start with all the things I didn't check off. That's now my to-do list for the next day. And so kind of instead of being lost and feeling like, okay, what do I need to do today? As entrepreneurs, that's a big thing. It's like every day your day is yours, and if you don't know how to harness that day, you lose days, And
so I actually learned that while I was being an assistant for my cousin. So she is one of my entrepreneur mentors, someone that I really look up to when it comes to this. She does real estate, but she has her hand in so many other things. And one of the first things she taught me was you need to make sure you're writing it down with pen and paper. You keep track of all the lists that you have, because whatever you don't get done today, you can start back up tomorrow. And just the importance of keeping all of those things in a space where you can readily see it. So every day I would come into her office, sit at the desk. My list from the day before was right there, and all the things that I checked off. She was also the type of person where at the end of the day, she wanted to know what I actually did. Not necessarily that I got it done, but where my time and energy is working. And at first, I was thinking more from the employee mindset, like, oh, she just wants to check in and, do this. Even though I was being contracted, essentially. I was offering my services as a business at that point. But later on, I realized her asking that was her instilling in me the ability to look back at my day and be like, okay, this is where I put my energy. It helped progress this. Even though I didn't get all of it done, this is where the momentum is headed, so we know right where to pick it up the next days of the week. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I learned so much from her. Love you, Tori.
Yeah, I think that there's a wonderful thing about just getting out there and doing stuff. You should be learning something every day. growing, stretching yourself. And I think if you don't ever put yourself in situations or positions that are uncomfortable, I think so many people are not used to being uncomfortable. I think growth comes from being uncomfortable or doing something you didn't even know you could do or not. And then I think confidence also comes from setting out to do something you're not really sure whether you were going to do or not. You get it done, and wow, you feel like, they feel good about yourself for doing that. So I definitely stress, for me, the kind of things that I put myself through, it would probably, I don't know.
Even the failures though, like we talked about challenges, but I have failed so many times, and everybody wants to see your wins. Everybody wants to see how much money you made, what the profits are. But it's like, what if I told you how much money I lost? Right. Or how much money I spent that isn't getting the return that I thought I would get? Or the business idea that I had and started that flopped. Like, there's so many. And especially us being so young and starting out. I mean, I know I really don't have all that much to lose, but I ain't got that much time to keep experimenting and figuring it out. I'm almost 26. Like, I need to, this is where things need to start picking up, and that pressure's on me, but I'm not afraid to fail anymore. And I wouldn't have had that confidence and assuredness if I hadn't failed so many times before. You know what,
Morgan, that's the most important thing I think that anybody going after anything should not have. Once you move fear, there's really nothing you can't do. And so a lot of people know the acronym FEAR is false evidence appearing real. And a lot of that stuff is what we create in our own mind, our own heads. But here's the wonderful thing about once you are not afraid to fail. And the way I always approach, let's think about the things that we learn our biggest lessons from our losses, honestly. When you do fail, that's where the biggest lessons come in. So if you don't even look at it as a loss, it's a lesson. So you never lose. You either win or you learn. You win or you learn. So when you that's how I approach everything in my life. Will everything work? No. But I'm either going to win or I'm going to learn. And I'm going to be better the next time I go at it. But I'm not going to stop, not going to quit. And I think when you have that mentality, there's really nothing you can't accomplish. And so that's a point that it's a freedom that occurs actually at that point. When you're not afraid to fail, then honestly, what can hold you back? Nothing, So, yeah, so that's a thing. So I do have an interesting question, and I know you guys have been friends for a long time, and that's kind of like a thing, and I wanted you guys to explain how has it been working with one of your best friends. That is very difficult and challenging. I tried it. My very first, I probably shouldn't talk about this, but my very first business partner was my best friend, and we had a good one for a while, but it could be challenging. So I want to talk about how has that been working with your best friend. How's that been?
Honestly, Morgan's the best. Before we did the podcast, we had we took a minute to clear our mind. She's that type of person. She'll pray over our conversations if we're feeling anxious or if we don't know what to do. She'll have the words. So it is nice working with a friend, and it makes it even better that we've known each other for so long. I think that's an important part of our friendship too, is just bonding over business. It's not because we're two beautiful women or because we play basketball. It's because we want more in our life. So I think it's nice because we're the same age. We have a lot in common, and we don't really butt heads a lot. So it's easy to get things done with her.
Well, that says a lot. I don't know if you want to chime in.
I do, actually, because I genuinely love Jeydah like a sister. And I see something in her that I also see in myself. And so nurturing her and helping her grow is helping me grow, essentially. And even just the wisdom that she drops, the way she's the type to just go out and do it. She inspires me to put my foot out there, put myself out there. Even the fact that I'm here right now is all because of Jeydah. And, there's just so much, but she makes it easy. Like, of course, you know, we've sat down, we've had our things like, okay, we really need to get it together because we noticed that we would be slacking or lacking in different areas, but we can have those conversations with each other. We can bring up the tough things because we know it's only going to help us grow. And that's something that is so invaluable, especially in business, but also as a friend. Like, we know business is business, and we're not going to let that come in between us for anything. We've known each other for too long. And I've been in business with my actual sister. Love her. But it's different. It's different. Yeah. It's, ooh, I love you too.
And I will say, it's nice because, like, we're able to pat each other on our backs. Like, if you do something good, it's like, oh, Morgan, shout out to you because you just did this. Or if I do something, she, like, shows me, it gives me a little spot. Yeah, go ahead.
Like right now, how she is now a silver earner, and a year or so ago now, like, I think bronze, silver, and gold are the different rankings in our part of our travel business. And essentially that means she's built her team to a point where, how many people do you have now?
6.
She is managing and leading a team of 6 people. And so she's been that cornerstone for us in the travel industry. She's been that resource. She's been that person we can go to. And it's only going to keep growing. Like she said, there are people in this business who have thousands of people on their team. And for her to do what she does with her 6, I know that she's going to do great once she gets to that point. And I can give her flowers for that. She gave me my flowers for getting my first. And I'm like, oh, it's just one person. But hearing it come from her is like, oh my God, like I have a business partner. I have a team now. And so, yeah, like having somebody who can celebrate your wins like that. Yeah. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
You know, I think that's everything, and it's probably even more important than having an accountability partner at the same time. Just having somebody who can champion, because we all have down days or days that are rough or challenging, or days that are good, and having someone to share that with, I think, is really an amazing thing. It is very, very difficult and unusual with friends to do that, to be able to do that. So I commend you guys tremendously for being able to do that, because it's not an easy thing to do.
And I would say sometimes you're like doing so much and you have your to-do list, and like Morgan will be someone who can slow me down and be like, don't forget you just finished doing this, you know, like don't try to rush to the next thing because you already did a great job in whatever you finished. So I think that's a good thing too. It's just like having someone to slow you down and remind you of who you are and what you've done and what you have accomplished.
You know what? I think that there is one of the things that I know you guys are both big proponents on, and especially it's kind of like your cornerstone, Morgan, which is that wellness piece. And so it's very important for entrepreneurs. So when you go out there, what kind of practical advice do you usually have for entrepreneurs who want to prioritize wellness?
The number one thing I would say, really to anybody, but especially business owners, is to breathe. Like, it sounds so simple, but even just now, how are you breathing? Not are you breathing, because obviously we're doing it, it's involuntary, but how are you breathing? And taking that moment to really check in with yourself can tell you a lot. Like, if you notice your breath is more in your chest, you're probably stressed or anxious. If you notice it's slower or deeper breaths, or you feel it more in your belly, you're a bit more relaxed. That's just how the physiology of our body works. And understanding that, you don't have to know, like, the way your lungs process everything and how the air flows, but just that simple moment to take a breath can do so much for yourself. I could go into a whole spiel on mindfulness, but that timing. But yeah, ultimately, it's how comfortable you are existing in the present moment, and if you're even present at all. We spend so much of our lives not where, like that saying, be where your feet are. We spend so much of our lives not doing that. And a study actually showed, this is also an article, but a study actually showed that the more your mind wanders, the less happy you are. And I think that's just a testament. Like, if you're not where you are, of course you're not going to be happy, because you're never going to be satisfied. There's always some other. The bar is always raising for you. There's always some other quota you have to meet, some other goal. And you have to be able to really sit with things, especially sit with yourself. I won't go into that, but
I was going to bring that up. Like,
Okay.
being mindful with yourself
Okay.
is important.
Yeah.
So,
if you want to
our
take
mind
the
is the
reins,
same
go
way.
girl.
So you're saying some really, especially for young people like yourself, it's saying a lot of really good things as far as wisdom that entrepreneurs. I've been at this for a while, and I've learned how to do this. It's been a long time for me, and you just kind of do it. But I do know, and I was reading something that was talking about as far as stress is really, or what it was more like depression. People who are thinking about their past leads to depression. Thinking about your future leads to anxiety. And so really you only have your present moment, and honestly we can't fix anything in our past. There's nothing we could do. When I talk to people who are struggling with things in their past, I give them the analogy of trying to drive to work in reverse the entire time. You're going to cause some accidents,
Yeah.
It's very difficult. It could happen, but it ain't going to be easy. But most people are going through life in reverse, and they're crashing constantly and not realizing that that's what they're doing, So, so for me, it's very important to not think about the past, or dwell on it, and then also the future leads to anxiety. So if you think about things that haven't happened, you get anxious about things that haven't happened. And I'll tell you a funny story with, as far as anxiety goes, is, it's nothing worse than being a kid and you do something at school or whatever, you're waiting to get a beating or whatever, waiting to get punished or whatever that may be. I didn't get in trouble a lot as a kid, but I had a big family, and this is funny, my mom's probably gonna hate that I'm saying this, but it's like when one got in trouble, we all got a beating, So there was 8 of us. So yeah, if one did something, they got beat from our mom, and then the rest of us, jumped in there because we all got beat when that person got beat. But anyway, that's a sidebar. But what my point with that was that that waiting all day for something like that to happen is worse than the 2-minute punishment or whatever that it is. So sometimes we can create more, we create more anxiety, create more things than we really have to deal with. And I think the life of entrepreneurs is stressful enough. So there's things we can do to lessen some of that stress and not to be overly thinking about things that haven't happened yet.
Yeah.
And so many people focus on things that haven't happened yet, and that is, to me, a waste of time and energy in life. You really have to focus on what is happening, be present, really being present in the moments, which is something you were saying earlier.
And there's a balance. Sorry. There's a balance, though, right? Because, in some cases, it's definitely beneficial to look back at what has happened, especially what didn't go right, and extract the lessons from it. The problem is when we stay there. I always think of the story of Lot's wife, how they were moving out of the city. God was moving them out, and she wanted to turn back, and now she's a pillar of salt. And so, same thing in the future. Things happen. Obviously, everything can't be foreseen, but that'll help you prepare for what's going to come. You just can't stay there because now you're not where you are. So, yes, presence, but also being able to take a look back, but understand you're not there anymore. And I'll try to keep this brief because this is another. I nerd out on these things because I'm so passionate about it. But when you think about old things that happened, your body and your mind don't know that you're not there. So if anything hurt you, if anything
so you're re-experiencing it all over again.
Emotionally, chemically, all of that is coming back in your body. That's where you start to feel that depression. Same thing with anxiety. We're hardwired to see these things coming. At one point, there were lions trying to eat us, right? So if we perceive a threat, our body thinks that threat is there in that moment. So the heart rate rises, the pupils dilate, we start getting ready to fight or flight, but we're just sitting in a chair. It's definitely a balance, but you want to be mindful of how much time you're spending anywhere that's not right now.
And I don't want to say to you just don't block that out. But there is some. So I think that's great. That was super impactful what you just said, and I think it's really important for people to actually create that balance, and that's can be a struggle sometimes, and while we're talking about balance, I kind of want to talk about really one of the biggest things you guys do is the travel business and using travel for really personal growth and rejuvenation. And I will say, and again, I don't tell anybody to be like me. Don't be like me. I don't. My wife hates this, but I don't really like taking breaks. I don't like stopping. I just like to work, and it's crazy to say that, but I know there should be this thing called balance. Sometimes I Google it, and try to see what that thing is, because I just work. I like to work, honestly, but it's like working for me is different. I'm doing what I enjoy doing, so it doesn't feel like work, even though it probably is. But I did want to get straight away from my question. So I wanted to talk about how, for business owners, really incorporating travel. So I want you guys to both talk about incorporating travel, how that really can lead to personal growth and rejuvenation for people other than myself.
Yeah. So I was introduced to the travel business from my old AAU coach's wife. So that just goes to show you another connection that I've had for a long time alongside Morgan's. But she introduced me to the travel business. I guess she saw like my entrepreneurial spirit or something like that. And then I checked it out. I loved it. And the idea of the business is, so we sell travel and we sell travel businesses. That's how me and Morgan became partners, because we both have our own travel businesses in the same company, but we own our separate travel businesses. And so I got into the travel. Dang, I keep doing that. What? Forgetting my thought. Like just everything. Okay. What was it, Max?
I was just asking you about how the importance of creating that life, or the importance of achieving. What was my question? How do you?
It was something about balance in travel. How to incorporate travel into that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You'd be like, you could take a vacation.
So talking about so what I do want you to talk about is really the importance of incorporating travel for personal growth and rejuvenation.
All right.
So.
Yeah. So I was introduced to the business from a longtime friend. I really love travel since I was young. I did a summer break trip to Europe in high school, and that allowed me to meet new people. Like, I didn't go with my immediate friends from high school, but I went with people around the school, so I was able to meet new people and learn new cultures, and that's where my love for travel really came. I lost my aunt about 13 years ago, and we had this big trip that we wanted to plan together to Bermuda. Or not Bermuda, I'm sorry, it was Barbados. And so that is one of the reasons why I still do travel as well, is because we never got to do that trip. And I think that travel does bring a sense of peace of mind and relaxation. And then it just exposes you to different cultures and things that people have going on in other places as well. And I think that's important for us to learn, so that we're not just used to where we come from and, the same cycle of where Baltimore, where we're from. So
too small.
Yeah, it's too small.
Yeah. So here's a great difference, and I kind of want, and either of you can take this. I'm sure either of you can talk about this. But I want you to talk about the difference between curated travel experiences from traditional wellness kind of retreats. So.
Okay. Well, when you say curated, do you mean girls trip, group trip, or solo trip? Because there's so many different ways we can travel. That's why it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And so let me focus on the question.
Okay.
Right. So a curated trip is for a specific reason, and it often is in groups, but not all of the time. Like I mentioned, there is such thing as solo travel. But even with that, the purpose really is to celebrate some sort of thing. So if it's a birthday trip, you're going for the birthday to have fun and explore. If it's vacation with the family, the purpose is to have something for the kids to do, something for the adults to do, either relax or explore. Solo trip, learn something new, immerse yourself into a culture, do something like that. When it comes to retreats, it's kind of a curated travel experience in itself, but it really depends on where you're going and who you're going with. So with wellness retreats, often you go somewhere, you stay. It could be a physical health and wellness. So I know some resorts, they have fasts that they put you on, like juice cleanses. You see doctors and nurses that work with you to help regulate different hormone levels, get toxins out, like very, very like I'm trying to get my physical health together. This is why I'm coming here. And then you don't really have any expectations other than to feel better afterwards. And then there's other ones where there's actually one in Mexico. It's called Ranch. I'm not even about to butcher it. It's a ranch in Mexico, but it's a minimum of 7 days that you stay. You stay in a villa and you have unlimited access to fitness classes, saunas, hikes, experiential things. But the purpose there really is to just get away and focus on your health. Like, oftentimes when people travel, I'm not sure if health is the focus. It's an escape for most people. You don't think, I'm gonna go there to get healthy. There's a certain niche of people that go into wellness retreat type of things. I actually have a friend who is from Miami. Her and somebody are partnering to do a female-based trip to the Dominican Republic over Valentine's Day, and they'll be doing yoga. They'll be indulging in plant medicine. They'll be growing closer to themselves and their femininity, while also, enjoying nature and the experience of being immersed in nature and just getting away for a little while to have that space to do it. America, I don't know, I can't speak to any other country. I've only lived in America my whole life, but America's so hustle and bustle. You need that sometimes. Yeah. So.
It's funny. I don't know that we often think about how so many other cultures don't hustle and bustle like we do. And I think I learned that with some of my employees who are from different countries. And I think for some of them in the beginning of working for me, that just I had to adjust, because our stress levels. I'm used to living under stress, and it's stress can be a friend, especially in business, because you don't have, or I should say, those goals are the things that we have to do sometimes. So it can be a positive thing, because without that, you're just kind of aimlessly going through your day. So yeah, but I probably, I had to make some adjustments anyways, my point. And so other cultures don't work like we do, and sometimes we don't think like that as far as that hustle and bustle. I think I do want to talk about prioritizing wellness, and especially for entrepreneurs. And so I want you to kind of, I guess speak to maybe anyone who's listening to this podcast. What would you say are 3 small changes that they can make to prioritize wellness
in their daily lives?
Yep.
Drink more water.
Most definitely drink more water.
Half your body weight. That's what the rule is.
That's what they say. I don't know what that would be.
Half your body weight in ounces.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Drink water. Drink water. That would be doable, because it really is small changes, and it's not even as far as like waking up earlier, going to bed earlier. Your morning and night routines are key. You don't need anything elaborate where it's like wake up and I do yoga and I pray and I like have the 3 basic parts of your routine: health, wealth, wisdom. Something that helps your health, something that helps your wealth, and that doesn't necessarily have to be money. It could be like wealth of knowledge, like you read a page or something, and wisdom. That's something I actually followed for a 30-day period of time, and my mornings changed dramatically. And then of course your nighttime routine. You don't want to be on your phone. I could take my own advice there. But, I notice the differences when I'm not on my phone right before I go to bed versus when I am. You wake up different, and how you go to bed impacts how you wake up the next day, and that carries on through the day and so forth. And I guess the third thing would be pay attention to what you're consuming. And that's not just food, right? You don't need to read, I would advise it, but you don't need to read the ingredient label on everything. But what are you listening to? Who are you listening to? What are you watching? What environments are you putting yourself in? What clothes are you wearing? Like, how are you consuming in your life? And, I'm not going to tell you to change it, but your intuition is strong enough to know where if something doesn't belong there, your body will let you know.
I like this question because I recently just talked to my team about this because they needed help with recovery and post-recovery after games. And I actually, everyone's schedule is different. So I feel like it kind of depends on how your flow goes. Like, some people go to bed later because they have, more priorities or commitments to do throughout the night. So I like to say just change things that you can physically change yourself. So, water would be one, or making sure you don't pick up an unhealthy snack, rather pick up fruit or something like that. Just little small things that you have control over, because 24 hours, it is a lot of time, but you can't get a lot of done. We have schedules, so you have to figure out how to fit that into your schedule, healthy things to do.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, and it's so funny. So when we kind of prepare these shows, we usually have people submit some questions. I have a great question that's real timely to what we're just talking about. So again, was submitted by one of our listeners, and so they're saying, here's the question, and either one of you guys can take this. It says, I'm just starting my business and I already feel overwhelmed. How can I make mindfulness a habit in my daily routine without it feeling like another task on my to-do list?
That's a good point. Thank you for your question. I would say something that I do to help mitigate that stress is, I do a lot of things.
I have one on top of my head.
If you have it on top of your head, go ahead.
I am vocal about if I'm overwhelmed. If I'm overwhelmed, I'll talk to the people in that space. Hey, I feel this way. What are some ways that you did to help yourself get from feeling anxious or overwhelmed? That helps me a lot because the people who are in that circle probably have been through that same feeling, so they can help you navigate how to take that away. So that helps me.
Yeah, I think it's a great answer, and everybody's going to have a different way that they maybe approach that. So I definitely agree with. Sometimes you got to find sometimes different things. You got to just find something till you find what does work for you.
I would say pace yourself, because especially if your business is something that you want to have long term. Rome wasn't built in a day. That's one of my favorite sayings, because I really be trying to build Rome in a day, and it's girl, you can't do all this today. And so remembering that this is for the long run, and if it takes 5 years, it takes 5 years. If it takes 5 months, it takes 5 months. If it takes 5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes. You wrote your stuff down, you have your stuff organized. We already gave these tips earlier, but pace yourself. There's no rush. I think social media mostly makes us feel like we have to do it all now. We have to get it done within the next year. Otherwise, we failed on all of those New Year's resolutions that we set for ourselves. And it's no, you could die tomorrow. You could die right now. I know it's a bit extreme, but it at the end of the day, every moment matters. And if you're spending your moment stressed and overwhelmed, you'll probably enjoy it. So.
Like I said, I'm astounded as to, and I shouldn't be, but I'm just astounded as to how much, this is, for me, like I said, I've been at this for a while, and just, for me, I think one of the enjoyable things about doing what I do with this podcast is I always, the guests that come on, including yourselves, just always provide some really, really good information. And I get a lot of feedback from our listeners who feel that way. And you guys have provided some really, really good practical information and things. So I definitely commend you for that. And so, who or what kind of business owners really would benefit from your services, the services that you guys provide, should or what kind of business owners or individuals should reach out to you actually, and how can they also get started with your programs?
Yeah. So as far as the travel side, I focus more on group travel. Has anyone been to like a family cookout or like a wedding, and you have that feeling where you're just like, oh, like I can talk to this person at this end of the room, or I can go to this end of the room and talk to people. That's the kind of idea that I'm trying to create in my trips, is like a trip that you don't want to leave from, or that you want to come back to, or you met some wonderful people, so now you have friends, you know? So that's the type of trips that I focus on, but primarily groups. And then as far as joining our travel businesses, we have websites, which I'm sure you'll share that information with them, websites, and we have our own personal websites, and those are one for our travel and one for our marketing business.
And speaking to that, if you are the trip planner, like if you're the person that people say, hey, I want to go here, if you're the person that people always go to when it's like girl or boy, because there's a lot of people, or they, if you're the person that they go to plan these trips, like why not make some money off of it? That's my thing. Like That was one of the main motivators that sold me, was that if I was going to do this anyway, I might as well be getting a check. So definitely those type of people. For me, as far as the wellness is concerned, really any business owner can benefit from the knowledge that I do have to share. I do have a particular soft spot for mothers, particularly postpartum mothers, in that newborn to 3-year stage, because I know they're particularly vulnerable, and they still want to go out and do things, have that business succeed, and it can get stressful. And I like to be that person that can help give you the tools and interventions that can reduce that stress, so you can still be the boss business babe that you are, but also the amazing mother that I know you are as well. And also, if you're the mom, like plan a mom trip. Like people have mom groups everywhere. Like come to the travel industry. Just join. You won't regret it. You're already traveling anyway. You're in the industry. You're just not getting paid for it.
So you know what, I do want you guys to actually take this moment right now to go ahead, as we're kind of winding down the show. Just I feel like we could continue to talk for another 2 or 3 hours, but I do want you to go ahead. You said the website. So how do people get in touch with you? We'll start with you, Jeydah. How do people get in touch with you to kind of either book travel or to join your organization?
My travel website is jeydahjohnson.intellitravel.com. And then my marketing website would be planetmarketing.com/Jeydah Johnson. On the travel website, it'll ask you to register, and that information will come straight to me. It tells me where you're trying to go, how many people, what's your budget, stuff like that. And then I'll reach out to you personally and call you so that we can create a relationship and get started with your trip.
And what about you, Morgan?
So my credentials are the same for the travel, except for the morganjacobs.intellitravel.com and planetmarketing/morganjacobs. Yeah, so same type of things. If you go on and register, then that information will come to me as well. I will say, this is for Jeydah. She does also send some good emails to her email list, so you want to make sure you put your email in there for her to have. She sends tips and tricks and all that stuff. I'm sorry, but just being honest. And then as far as wellness, it would be best if you visited my Instagram. That is at Myndful Lyfe. That is MYNDFULLYFE. I could have just said Myndful Lyfe with the Y's instead of I's, but you know. From there, you'll be able to see the content that I share, and all of my links are in that bio for you to interact with me.
So wonderful. So I'm glad you gave that information out. And it's kind of leading me to my Mind Your Minute closing thought. And really, success is about more than just hitting goals. You know, it's about really thriving while doing it. You know, so taking care of yourself, nurturing your well-being, and watch how your business grows alongside your peace of mind. So I just want to leave people with that. And I just want to say, like I said, this has been an incredible conversation. I've really enjoyed this with Jeydah and Morgan, with both of you guys. Your insights have been really great, on integrating mindfulness and wellness into entrepreneurship. I think that's there's been some eye-opening things, and I think a lot of people are going to get some things from it. And thanks for sharing your inspiring journeys and just the truth that you guys just shared about how your journey has been. I think there's so much so important. Like I said, I thank you both for sharing and coming on the show. And what I wanted to also do is for everybody who's tuning in, as always, if you want to keep up with me, Max Fortune, and stay connected with the Mind Your Business podcast, you can always find me on all social media platforms at Mind Your Biz Expert. Again, that's Mind Your Biz Expert. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. And just make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and keep the conversation going. So we also love hearing your questions. So make sure you continue to do that, engage with the community. And again, as always, let's continue to build together. And until next time, stay sharp, stay focused, and always mind your business. See you in the next episode. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming on. Yes.